joining us now outside of the Latah County Jail in Moscow. Fox News multimedia reporter Ashley Soriano with the latest. Ashley, thanks for joining us yet again tonight. Let's go over for our viewers, in case you might have gleaned any more information about what Kaylee Goncalves' family wants.
Hey, good evening, Andrew. Yeah, Kaylee Goncalves' family, they've been the most outspoken of all of the victims' families throughout this entire process. And they did speak with Fox and Friends this morning in an interview saying that, you know, they are for the death penalty. This comes after we finally saw some details in that probable cause affidavit. We now know that phone records, DNA, and footprints all link Kohberger to the scene. Again, that's according to the affidavit. But what I want to bring to your attention, Andrew, is that police had some of Kohberger's professional background on their radar. So Kohberger was a PhD criminology student, and you know, it's not illegal to take courses in criminology, psychology, and forensics as the suspect did, but police are particularly interested in some of the activities that he did during his studies. So he published an online survey last summer during one of his classes in Pennsylvania. That's his home state, where he also attended DeSales University in a master's program. He asked for responses on Reddit to, quote, understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. Last fall, he also applied to an internship with the Pullman Police Department, which is just 10 miles from Moscow. The affidavit says he wanted to learn how to collect and analyze data used in public safety operations in rural areas. Now, going back to those phone records, they show that Kohberger was near the victim's home at least a dozen times before the killings, mostly at night or in the early morning, even though this home is located in a very quiet and low traffic neighborhood. Now, the Goncalves' family's attorney, he is a former prosecutor, and he says he thinks this case is solid based off the evidence that was found. And once again, the family did speak with Fox and Friends. We're about to play that that interview for you, but again, they want the death penalty.
Each line gave me a little bit more confidence that we were in a very good position. I can make this man feel like he picked the very worst family to do that to, and I want this case to get stronger and stronger to the point where he realizes that he's not going to be on the planet that long.
The suspect is in custody at the Latah County Jail without bail, and his next court hearing is set for January 12th. Andrew.
Okay, Ashley, give us a sense. What's happening at the crime scene? Because I believe earlier today there were some items, mattresses maybe, that were brought out. They're still kind of clearing it out. What's going on?
That's right, Andrew. So you and we spoke earlier today, and we talked about how the house has pretty much remained at a standstill, but we did learn some information I want to share with you. As you just mentioned, some items were loaded up into a pickup truck that does include some mattresses and some other miscellaneous items from the home. But during this cleanup right now, it's, you know, you can see it from the road. It's very visible. That's very different from the first time investigators came in attempting to clean up the scene. They covered it up through a tunnel pretty much, and had a very large Penske rental truck. And that cleanup process, the first cleanup process, was halted because the suspect had been arrested, and the defense team wanted time to take a look at the crime scene. But today, this afternoon and evening, investigators started to load up some items into a pickup truck. So definitely interesting to see what new information we learned from that. Andrew.
Yeah, of course, the defense wants to get in there. They're going to have to, you know, collect their own evidence to present at trial, whenever that trial is going to take place. And I was reading as well, there's some reporting to suggest that there is kind of an end point when that location, that home there on campus, will be considered an actual crime scene. That's coming to an end, right? And then who knows what will happen with that house.
Yeah, that's right, Andrew. A judge ordered the house to remain a crime scene until February 1st. It's unclear if the judge will extend that, but as of now, February 1st, that house will remain a crime scene. Andrew.
Okay, Ashley Soriano there. Thank you so much. Excellent reporting. Not sure if you're staying there through the weekend, but we'll definitely be checking again in with you next week. Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, we're going to stay with this story briefly here because there are a lot of questions circulating as well. Because remember, just last night, if you were watching at this time, we were speaking with legal experts about the timeline, especially the night the murders were committed. Now, questions are arising, and they have abounded about this roommate on the first floor who encountered the suspect Kohberger. That, according to the affidavit, we got a physical description and kind of a exchange that roommate watched Kohberger walk out of the sliding glass door there on the first floor, dressed in all black. He had a mask on, and so it was quite shocking for that roommate who witnessed all of that. The affidavit said, essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, she froze. But so many are wondering, okay, well, that was at what, sometime 4 in the morning? Why 911 wasn't called till around noon the next day? Take a look at some of this timeline we want to put up yet again. Because you have these questions. I have these questions. You can see there, 4:48, Bryan Kohberger's phone reconnects to cell networks near Blaine, Idaho. 4:17, you can see whimper, thud, and dog barking can be heard on nearby security camera. Around the same time, the roommate opens the bedroom door again, sees man with bushy eyebrows, clad in black clothing and a mask, walk past her towards a rear sliding door. The roommate said she then locked herself in her room. And then the last bullet point on this graphic, 11:58 a.m., a 911 call reports an unconscious person at the scene of the killings. So 4:17 a.m., that roommate on the first floor encounters the suspect who allegedly just killed her 4 roommates. Then 11:58 a.m., the first time the 911 call is put in. So many are wondering, many are speculating, what took so long? Why did this roommate wait? So the roommate, one of the 2 who survived, faced swift backlash after it was revealed in that affidavit that she awoke the 13th, looked directly at the murderer as he fled, then locked herself in her bedroom. Now, according to Dr. Katherine Kuhlman, a police and public safety psychologist based in Arizona, when a person goes through trauma, they're going to experience fight, flight, or freeze. That's what she told Fox News today. She says most people in their entire lives won't have to deal with this type of trauma and won't mentally prepare for it. So the roommate, whose name Fox News Digital is withholding, remember the affidavit only gave the initials of the roommate, encountered the killer, the alleged killer. After hearing crying coming from Zena Kernodle's room, the roommate opened her bedroom door, which is on the same floor. The affidavit says the roommate saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. The male walked past the roommate as she stood in a, quote, frozen shock phase. She described him as having bushy eyebrows, walked by her and exited the second floor sliding glass doors. So this is all kind of bewildering to us who have not experienced such a traumatic episode. Kuhlman went on to tell Fox News that trauma becomes more difficult to process when it's something that is so far outside of our consciousness, it doesn't seem to make sense to us. In this case, no one ever thinks they're going to have this man come into their home and brutally stab the roommates. Now, the other roommate in all of this that survived was sleeping at the time. And so a lot of questions still about what in that time frame was this roommate doing, locking herself in her room like this. So if we get any more details, I asked one of our legal experts whether or not he thinks these 2 roommates who survived, who were in the house at the time of the murders, might have to testify at trial. He said that is Much too early to tell, but we'll be on the lookout for that. Obviously, a trial date is still so far away from being set. But we will bring you live coverage next week of that status update, that check-in with the judge there, according to Ashley Soriano's reporting.